In recent years, we have become increasingly enlightened to the needs of both our cognitive and emotional selves, and the ability to consider the whole self and how we interact with our wider environment. And it's not before time. The ever-increasing expectations, growing demands and always-on mindset faced by our leading executives can threaten even the sharpest, brightest and most resilient of minds. It would come as no surprise to anyone at the pinnacle of their career that the World Health Organization has cited stress as the #1 health epidemic of the 21st century. What we're seeing when we're dealing with leaders across the world is there's an absolute growth of anxiety and stress and the necessity to be always on and to work at a particular pace, which, whilst incredibly impressive, is really taking its toll physically and mentally on people. And the irony is the very people who are able to have that amount of resilience, have that amount of ability, are experts at masking what's really going on within. And what we're finding is that people are underneath all of that worried about what's happening for them, how they should be being, how they should be performing. And so what is it they can do for themselves privately or within a group to kind of really address all of that and sort of bring themselves back to a sort of healthier place, both mentally and physically.
Organisations are beginning to take more responsibility and are starting to finally understand they have a duty of care, and actually that it makes more sense and is far more cost effective to look after the people that they value.
In order to facilitate change and development, we need to alter neural pathways in our brain. The neuroplastic nature of the brain enables us to find new ways of being. The underpinning of all Psyched programs are based on the foundations of this concept, and advances in neuroscience evidence this process. As we experience new things, we create new thinking, which cultivates new neural pathways, and we can move from an old pattern or way of thinking to a new one. This allows us to see choices which may not have been visible before. With choice comes the possibility to behave differently. When we behave differently, we are able to engage in new experiences, and the result of any experience is emotion. New experience creates new feeling, creates new thinking, creates new being. To innovate and grow, we must experience. A visceral experience helps you to access subconscious and be creative and expansive in your thinking. Leaders who are open to new ways of thinking and being can transgress and challenge boundaries in the pursuit of greater perspective and understanding.
There's 4 different kind of doors of entry, if you like. So actually as an individual, if you just feel that maybe it's time to go and take some sort of coaching and executive therapy support, we have a list of 7 different therapists that you can work with. The second is that if you are a leader of a business and that you feel that you have a duty of care to your people, lots of people in the media industry, for example, like Facebook or Google, have on-site doctors, on-site dentists, but so far nobody had an on-site psychotherapist. And I think what's really interesting is lots of businesses are offering coaching, but actually what about psychotherapy to really help professionals to be more supported? So we're finding businesses are interested in having an on-site psychotherapist maybe once a week, where people that work there can actually book an appointment either regularly or one-off, just to kind of get the support that they need. So that can happen on a corporate level. Then, I think for real sort of board level positions, people are looking at the retreats that we're running. One of them is in a beautiful place in France, so we're taking people away from their natural business habitat and putting them into nature, and we have a bank of practitioners, whether they're psychotherapists, nutritionists, acupuncturists, Shaolin master, a Chinese masseuse, various people that can really help you get back in touch with yourself. So it's a 4-day program, the one that we have in France, and it's really to help you transform into the reality and the realization of who you want to be and being more of who you already are. We also have, for the more creative types, a trip that we're going to do in both Egypt and Morocco, which is for people that want to really open their creative mind maybe a bit more. And that's more rustic, it's camping in the sand dunes, it's trekking out on camels and sort of sleeping under the stars and really kind of opening yourself up to nature and to the universe, if you like, and looking at what that brings for you and what that releases for you and liberates the creative mind just a little bit more.
A very important part of the process is not only that it's in a beautiful environment and people are very connected to nature and they're being supported physically, emotionally and spiritually, but also that we create space. So they have the space to attain insight, to create a greater line of inquiry, to understanding, to noticing what's going on for themselves. And a very important part of that is that if we create space, we often get much more of what we need. And in the world today, space is very restricted, and it's something that I think many people find it difficult to allow themselves to have.
If you are willing to embrace the program, it's a chance for you to really take yourself away from the everyday, whether that's being a parent or a partner or a boss. It's about just being back to oneself and to really embracing the different thinking and the different tutoring and the different guidance that the various practitioners can offer. It's about taking a breath.
The whole experience felt it was all about me, because I'm someone that cares a lot about people and I care about how they are and want to make sure that they're comfortable and have everything they need. And one of the realizations out of the whole trip was that I never did that for myself. I did it for other people. I made sure that they were all happy. And the only person really that can make sure that you're happy yourself is yourself. And I think that was probably the overarching lesson I learned, and therefore I had to make sure I took some time for myself and took some time to think about the things that made me happy.
What I know that people will get out of it, what the intention is and what the objective is for people to create a better relationship with themselves. Along with that, it's also about their relationship to environment. How do they manage themselves in certain situations, identifying patterns of behaviour, and also understanding how they can implement change around those behaviours. How can they change historic patterns? How can they address fears and behaviours that impede their growth and their development?
Psyched aims to develop a community of leaders that inspire and impact on individuals, teams and organisations. This will encourage leaders to translate new thinking into action for impact and growth back in their professional roles and the broader world. To flourish. When we flourish, we value integrity, strive for excellence and achieve success in what we do.